Hey everyone, welcome to the Raw Roundup. This is a series where after every episode of Monday Night Raw, we go over all the important segments, backstage segments, all the important matches, everything that happened basically on that night's Monday Night Raw. This episode is the Monday Night Raw straight after Crown Jewel, still in Riyadh, still has that incredible crowd from Crown Jewel, and if you want to hear about Crown Jewel, my previous video has everything you need to know about it, every match, about the crowd, my ratings, my review on Crown Jewel 2024. So be sure you watch that video. Come straight back here because Monday Night Raw did not disappoint. So before we get started, make sure you leave a like, subscribe. Anything that I say throughout this video, please feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to talk to you guys about this if you have an opinion, if you agree, disagree. And one more thing just before we get straight into Monday Night Raw. I know, a lot of things. But I'm filming this episode of the Raw Roundup on Tuesday evening. If you don't know, I live in the UK, and in the UK, Monday Night Raws and SmackDown starts at 12 AM on the Tuesday. That is Tuesday morning. Obviously, if they're filmed in different parts of Europe, then that changes for me. But on most, including this one, on most pre-taped shows and in every American city, Monday Night Raw Live happens and starts at either 1 AM if the clock's to go back forward, or 12 AM. I can't make and produce a video at 3 AM, edit it, and then get it out for you guys at a decent time in America. So forgive me, this video will probably be coming out probably Wednesday morning, let's say. It will be there for your viewing pleasure to see. Still very fresh after Monday Night Raw. So now finally, let's get into Monday Night Raw. So to start off the night, you had your new and first ever Women's Crown Jewel champion with the ring and everything coming out to greet and welcome the incredible Riyadh crowd to Monday Night Raw, accompanied by Dirty Dom and Raquel Rodriguez. She walks out, she gets a lot of heat, very well done, but again by the crowd. Dominic tries to speak, not a word out. Raquel still standing there like the Terminator, and all is well in the world of Liv Morgan. She states that she has finally cemented herself as the greatest women's world champion of all time. I believe she said women's champion of all time. And she has stated that the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour has finally concluded. We are now in the Liv Morgan World Tour, ladies and gentlemen. Her words, not mine. While she's there, gloating, having her little celebration, she has herself interrupted by Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair comes on out and walks straight up to the ring to confront Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan on like a previous backstage segment where they kind of locked eyes and beefed a bit, basically stating that they want the smoke with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Before anything can get too violent, a fresh out of an RKO at Crown Jewel Adam Pearce has come out and broken up the fight. Just in case you guys don't watch NXT or haven't been keeping up with WWE social media and wondering, where is Rhea Ripley? Basically, Rhea Ripley has gotten herself injured somehow. They're claiming it is a broken orbital bone, and the way they wrote her off in the story was on NXT, on the most dangerous place on planet Earth, the NXT car park. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez jumped Rhea Ripley with baseball bats, and they had this segment very bloody. They did a Drew McIntyre CM Punk segment where they just left her bloodied at her car, and they've written her off now for an undisclosed amount of time. Rhea's gone for now. We need a new #1 contender for Liv Morgan to keep this title prestigious. And as a punishment for what she did on NXT to Rhea Ripley, he is about to sanction and schedule imminently a battle royale with as many women as can be to basically decide who will be the next #1 contender. And so, without further ado, let's get into the opening match of Monday Night Raw. Straight off the bat, what I'm going to tell you about this Battle Royale was the match cooked. Indeed it did. It was a bit choppy, but the match cooked. Especially when it started to weed down from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. That's when the match really started ramping up. You had people like Natalya getting thrown out. You had people like Kairi Sane getting thrown out. And as the match started getting very interesting, started getting hot, it was Lyra Valkyria, Io Sky, and Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. They were the last 4, I believe. This is significant because back in the earlier segment between Liv Morgan, Raquel, and obviously this mega team, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, one thing Liv said was that Bianca's eventually going to betray Jade. And so we fast forward to this Battle Royale. These two are in a position where they have to fight. And before we get it, we get teased, before we get it, Io and Lyra get back up and start fighting. And just as they're about to get rid of one of the opponents in the ring, in comes Raquel, who's been sitting ringside with Liv Morgan and Liv, and they pull, obviously, the hair, and then Jade gets involved. They pull Jade and Bianca out of the Battle Royale, so it is Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria, the last two involved in the match. As good as it was up to now, it got 10 times better because you had a unbelievable perennial main eventer, one of the best women wrestlers, one of the best wrestlers on planet Earth, Io Sky versus an insanely good, incredible in-ring talent, Lyra Valkyria. And the match then cooked. They were both getting good offense in, and they both had near moment. Alright, it looks like Lyra's about to hit the Nightwing, or it looks like we're about to get an over the moonsault. It looks like they're going to have a winner, and it keeps shifting, and then they go out to the apron, where a very, very nasty bump is taken by both individually, and then you have this huge move from Io Sky, where Lyra Valkyria gets slammed down onto the apron after an insane move by Io, and then rolls off. And there you have it. Your number one contender for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship is Io Sky. So this feud will cook. This will be fantastic. You've got Kairi Sane and the rest of Damage Control if they were to come back from injury, versus obviously Dominic Mysterio and Raquel with Liv as well. So you can kind of balance out the numbers. It's a fantastic feud, a good placeholder, because I do believe we're just waiting for Rhea to come back. The next segment we're going to cover on this episode of the Raw Roundup is the New Day / Wyatt 6 segment. You had Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston disagreeing again. If you don't remember to a previous Monday Night Raw very recently, Xavier Woods basically cost Kofi and himself the match by doing a heelish, angry behaviour rather than focusing on winning the match, which caused the War Raiders to win said match. So, they're about to have a rematch against the War Raiders, and lo and behold, we're getting a disagreement, almost a fight between Kofi and Xavier, and then the screen starts shimmering, starts cutting to static, and then to black. We then come back, and it is a fantastic segment, a fantastic package for the Wyatt 6, where, if you didn't see in another recent Monday Night Raw, The Miz got kidnapped. He went to his bus. In the background of another New Day argument, you see The Miz get taken by Dexter Lumis up to his bus, and he's been missing ever since. We see The Miz tied into his chair, duct taped mouth, takes it off. Bo Dallas, or Uncle Howdy, is talking to The Miz. He's talking his, cryptic ramblings, and The Miz is basically trying to say, you got the wrong guy, you want Final Testament. And then we get a flashback back to what I can only imagine is early 2010s, mid 2010s, where The Miz with his Miztourage back in the day talking to Bo Dallas. Basically something that I completely overlooked. I didn't even realise that they had already had some kind of history together before Bo Dallas accepted this darker part of himself. And yeah, it was a really good callback, really good way to justify why, not just what he's been doing recently, but justify why Uncle Howdy's going after The Miz, not just his turn on R-Truth and family. Then when The Miz realises that he's not in a misunderstanding, they came for him, Dexter Lumis comes out, jump scares the camera and takes The Miz, cuts to black. A unbelievably good segment. Not much to say about the New Day afterwards. A good match between the War Raiders, but much the same. Kofi, Xavier, not on the same wavelength. War Raiders win. I think they deserve the World Tag Team Championships, by the way. Get these titles off of the Judgment Day. They're not featuring on Monday Night Raws. They are not wearing the titles when they're around. They're not boosting the division. There are people here that deserve it. So what I would consider the main point, the main needle mover of tonight's Monday Night Raw happened smack dab in the middle. Because if you remember the opening match at Crown Jewel 2024, you'll remember the match, you'll remember the crazy spot where Roman Reigns got pinned by Solo Sikoa, and you'll remember the after the match shenanigans where Jay's about to get crippled basically, like Jimmy was 6 months ago, and Sami Zayn's music hits, he comes out and helps Jay. However, accidentally Haluva kicks Roman Reigns. That being said, now with that memory jog, if you want more in depth of what happened, don't forget, watch the video watch the past video. But we see Sami Zayn walking in the hallway, about to address the crowd on what happened at Crown Jewel. He makes his way down, again, fantastic crowd, they love him in Saudi Arabia. He starts speaking their language. He goes to explain why he came out, what happened, if he meant to kick Roman Reigns in the face. And then Jey Uso's music hits, and then a really good heart-to-heart between brothers. Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, they're talking. Jey Uso says, thank you for helping me, thank you for saving me. But Jey says, I gotta know one thing. Did you mean to hit OTC, Roman Reigns, in the face with the haluva kick? And before Sami can answer, Jimmy Uso comes straight out, storms down, music's on for like 30 seconds or whatever. He walks straight down. He basically starts berating Sami Zayn, saying he can't be trusted. Obviously, he meant to do it, that kind of thing. Sami Zayn claps back in one of the best clapbacks, I think. I love it when wrestlers are real. Sami Zayn claps back, basically saying, you're talking about if you can't trust me. What about you? Don't talk about who I've kicked in the face. You've kicked me, Roman, then Jey. Basically talking about Jimmy's recent past and what he's been doing and how trustworthy he's been to the people in his life. A very valid argument, which is a really, really good callback to the original Bloodline when it was Jimmy and Sami boys, with Jey not trusting and really disliking Sami Zayn. Yeah, it's a good callback how the roles between the Usos has been reversed now. But Jimmy, Sami keep going back and forth. Sami basically says, I don't hate you. You don't need to believe me or trust me, but that's it. He also then turns to Jey and says, look, I'm glad I came out to help you for you, not for Roman. I know what it's like. It felt good to feel like I was in the bloodline again, but I can't go through this, and he'd leave. And just before Sami Zayn can walk away, Jey says, you are family. I was wrong, to Jimmy, and then turns to Sami and says, Sami, ooh, so, and the crowd goes wild for it, assumingly agreeing to meet on Friday night at SmackDown. This bloodline story, and I've said this for a long time and I'll keep saying it, is cooking. It is cinema and it is fantastic storytelling. But we still have the rest of the show to get through, so let's move on quickly to the next segment. Really quickly, the next segment we're going to move on to is the incredible Chad Gable versus Dragon Lee match that happened. Can I just say, the match, Zelina Vega was on the outside, made no interference. The match was so good. I literally felt like I was watching a prime Kurt Angle versus prime Rey Mysterio. It's just some of the bumps these guys take, some of these moves that these guys do. It was just such a good match. They had great in-ring chemistry. And yeah, Rey comes out, loads of shenanigans, but I just wanted to just quickly touch over that match before we move on to the next segment and say that it was an unbelievable match. I think it was match of the night. And the match we had for the main event was a fantastic match. But just as a wrestling match, I need to see that match again. I need to see more matches between those two. Before the main event, there was just a little backstage segment where Gunther, who just lost the first ever men's Crown Jewel Championship match, champion versus champion against Cody Rhodes, just off the back of that is being interviewed. He's got Ludwig Kaiser with him. And the interviewer kind of says, oh, yeah, how he came up short and how he, didn't deliver and that kind of thing in a respectful way. Gunther stays quiet, nods. Ludwig chimes in saying Cody is this champion who doesn't deserve to even grace the ring with Gunther. And Gunther then interrupts him, shuts him down, turns to him and says, no, Cody was the better man that night. Cody deserved it. Then the interviewer goes on to talk about the fatal four-way match to decide who is the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. And hear this, between Seth frickin' Rollins off the back of that incredible match against Bronson Reed and win against Bronson Reed at Crown Jewel. Damian Priest, who their match at SummerSlam, which I did review a couple of videos ago before I went on my hiatus. I've really wanted to see a round two of that, considering he never got his chance to get his title back from Gunther, and considering there were shenanigans that helped Gunther win. And Sheamus, who, if you've seen any of the many matches they've had, televised or not, between each other, you will know is probably match of the night, match of the year, match of the week, match of the decade. It's incredibly good when Gunther and Sheamus step into a ring together. And Dominic Mysterio. And after they talk about the four contestants to Gunther in the interview, just as they're glossing over Sheamus, Gunther chimes in, turns to Ludwig and says, Sheamus, the guy he was meant to get rid of, I think we both need to do better. Both of us. Stares down Ludwig, walks away. Ludwig, obviously the interview's over. Ludwig looks off into the camera, looks off into the distance. They're teasing the turn. I doubt they'll do it, not for a while, but it's there. And speaking of that main event, we're going to go straight into it now on the final segment we're going to cover on this episode of the Raw Roundup. This match was fantastic. There was obviously a bit of chopping with the 3 adverts, but they had a good way of bringing it all together. It started off like the bullying of Dominic Mysterio, just Damian chasing him, Dominic running around, then pushing Sheamus and Seth Rollins, and then they all gang up on him. And then after Dominic is down, it blows open. The 3 of them start having a really good match. Sheamus is fantastic. Seth Rollins is unreal. Damian Priest is fantastic. Dominic Mysterio then got involved as the match went on. After an ad break, we came straight back into the fight where somehow Dominic Mysterio had managed to get the upper hand on all 3 of them, and he was going crazy. And nearing the end of the match, that was still a fantastic match, Seth Rollins ends up giving a pedigree to Dominic Mysterio, and as he's about to get ready for the stomp, he's in the corner, he looks out to the announcer's table, the commentators are going crazy because Bronson, big Bronson Reed is in the building. He comes in, stares down Seth Rollins, mean mugging him. He's got that cut, he's got his cut on his eyebrow that he got, that nasty bump he took at Crown Jewel. While Seth is staring down Bronson Reed, Bronson moves over, smashes Sheamus into the post, grabs Damian, smashes him into the steps, and then, not waiting for any signal, out comes Seth Rollins. He's charging at Bronson. He gets caught, put on the table, and Bronson Reed explodes Seth Rollins through the table. It was a crazy bump. It looked insane, and I love the tsunami. It's now one of my favourite crushing finishes. So good. And then, after obviously getting into it with Sheamus and Damian Priest, gets in the ring, tsunamis Damian Priest, tsunamis Sheamus, and then leaves. All the while, Dominic Mysterio, hidden under the, or just behind the ring. Second Bronson Reed's out, climbs to the top rope, finisher, splash on Sheamus, 1, 2, Damian interrupts, run on the floor, pushes him off. He puts Damian Priest between the ropes, and then 619, deadbeat 19, fake 619, 66619, whatever you want to call it, to Damian, and then goes for that splash. Damian's on the floor. As he's climbing up, Damian stirs up. He catches him. The cleanest South of Heaven chokeslam from Damian Priest, and then 1, 2, 3. He is your #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. I think, considering how good their SummerSlam match was, this is more than warranted. A fantastic part 2 to the story between Damian Priest and Gunther, deserved. And I'm just happy all around. There's thumbs up. There's, I think, a fantastic episode of Monday Night Raw where the crowd from beginning to end was just phenomenal. I've got no matches I didn't like there. Everything was very good. Everyone other than the IC title got a lot of love this episode, and I have thumbs up and nothing really bad to say about it. I'm okay with every decision that happened, and I'm just waiting for the next SmackDown so that we can get the next part of the cinema that is the Bloodline story. And that is the roundup of this Monday Night Raw. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you disagreed with my opinions, please leave it in the comments. If you agreed, just want to say hello, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you're new here, subscribe. When my schedule allows it, I normally try and upload at least 2 videos a week, the Raw Roundup and the SmackDown Sum Up. If I have the time, motivation, energy, and means to make a video throughout the week, maybe football, maybe gaming, something like that, I always try to. And every PLE weekend, there is always a video building up before, reviewing after. Thank you so much again for watching this video, and I will see you this Friday, or whenever, for the next video.